we here, you made a statement that rings in my mind, and it's something that I always think about. And it's funny, ever since you said it, I seem to see it everywhere I go. And that was the bold statement of steroids are used in all sports. And at the time, Lance Armstrong, it just kind of the information had come out.
Yeah.
And since then, I've watched the UFC. And since then, we see things that have just been announced in, say, WADA or the Olympics. And it's just something that when you say something like that, most people are like, they just maybe don't listen to it. But as the more and more that people listen to you saying that, I think people see it in so many places.
Yeah, I mean, they use more extensively in bodybuilding. It's more a key part of bodybuilding, but not just bodybuilding. Any sport, like strength-related sports. So it always amuses me when people watch World's Strongest Man and it's sponsored by whoever it's sponsored by and it's on TV, and they won't put bodybuilding on TV because the so-called steroid thing. You think these 400-pound guys lifting cars and stuff, you really think they're not using steroids? You think they're just big farm guys? They're just born like that? Of course not. And sport is, what kind of people do sport at the top level? What kind of people? Highly competitive individuals, highly ruthless, competitive individuals. Are they going to turn down anything that would give them an advantage and possibly their competitors doing it, even if it gives them like 1 centimeter on 100 meters or a little bit? You think they're not going to do it? If they can, of course they're going to do it. I think it's easier if you just didn't have drug testing, because if you have drug testing, the people are finding ways around it. So whoever's got more sophisticated means to avoid the test or whatever, they're going to have advantage over somebody else. So it'd probably be fairer if you just say, hey, like, let's just get rid of this nonsense, you know?
Right, because like say the Olympics, it makes it more unfair to the people who can't afford to have the steroids that won't
Yeah, I
get
read
masked.
something in the paper this morning. The British athletes are complaining because certain countries don't have the stringent testing that the British athletics, you know, like the guys they don't get tested as much in Russia or this and that. So it's not an even playing field, you know? So I think not just drugs in sport, I think drugs just make them legal. They did it in Portugal. They decriminalized all drugs in Portugal, from cannabis up to crack cocaine, and their rate of drug addiction and criminality has just dropped massively. So there's a test case that it's nonsense.
And you think in sport we should just abolish, as opposed to playing this illusional game of
if there was no such thing as steroids or performance enhancing drugs, if you like, I'd be the happiest man out there. That would be great, because then you would just be judged on your efforts. You wouldn't have to enter into something that may have potential health consequences because you feel like you had to compete. So that would be great if there were no performance-enhancing drugs. But unfortunately, real world, there are, and there have been. And there was in bodybuilding. I started competing in 1985. It had been around in bodybuilding already for over 20 years. So it's not something that I decided. It's like, it was already there. So my question as a competitor was like, if I want to compete and I want to be on an even level with these guys, then I'm going to have to do this. Am I going to do it or am I not? You know, weigh it up and make a decision. And I made a decision to be on the same level as everybody else. But if there was no such thing, great. But they're in the real world, you know, so I've got to deal with it.
You're saying that one of the worst things about steroids is that people discount everything that you do on them, right?
Yeah, because especially a bodybuilder looks so different, right? Especially like in a contest condition. Extreme with these veins coming out and, you know, no body fat and everything.
Low body fat.
So it's like, this guy looks so extreme. That's quite easy to relate that with a drug, like, because nobody looks like that. So they must be taking drugs to make them look like that. Well, not many people can do the Tour de France in like the time. You know, it's an extreme application of a certain body type and a certain type of training and diet and everything. So of course, yes, steroids enhance that process, and you're able to get to a level of muscle mass and development that you wouldn't without it, you know?
Did you experience, now that you're even a bit older now, did you experience any bad effects from steroid use for your career?
Yeah, I mean, bad effects, some changes in my blood results, some things like more cosmetic, like water retention, acne. I had a raise in blood pressure. Some of the levels went up on the blood test, but it wasn't anything ever like, wow, you're in immediate danger. But like, this is not good to keep doing this for a long time. You know, it's like, because it's showing that it's putting some stress on your body. And I was a bit concerned last time after we did the talk on steroids, because sorry, I don't remember the other guy's name that was here, but it was the way that he presented the question that I responded to, that some people thought I was a little cavalier about it. Like, hey, you know, I wasn't saying steroids aren't dangerous. I was responding to him like, I heard it's like all these horror stories.
Right.
And I'm saying, well, there's other things out there that are also bad for your health and also dangerous, but you can go and buy them over the counter right now and go outside and buy a 20-pack of cigarettes and a bottle of vodka and you know, a packet of aspirin. I take the whole packet of aspirin and I'll be dead if I want, or paracetamol or Nurofen. All those things can be damaging. So yeah, is long-term steroid use bad for your health? Yeah, it is. Like smoking cigarettes is, but if you smoke cigarettes for a year and you stopped, would it have any long-term effect on your health when you got older? Probably not. If you smoke cigarettes for 10 years, you know, and you stopped, maybe there's some bad effects, maybe not. If you're smoking for 20 years, as we all know, you're going to really increase your risk of cancer, you're going to damage your lungs, you're going to have heart disease, all these things. So I see it like that. The longer you use it and the more you use it for, the more risks you build up. So yes, there are health risks there, and there are an increased amount of people having heart disease, heart attacks that have used steroids for a long time. So there are dangers there. There are health risks, but have they been exaggerated in certain quarters? Probably, yeah. And the question was that, well, you know, I heard if you take steroids, all these things happen to you and you grow horns out your head and all that. So I was responding to that. Like, yeah,
it was a good answer.
There's a lot of nonsense about it, but it's not without risks, you know? So everyone's got to be responsible for their own choices. Educate yourself. Learn as much as you can about it and make a decision from there. If I wasn't a professional bodybuilder, I would, if I had not continued with my professional bodybuilding career at that point, that critical point where I went to Night of Champions, I wouldn't have taken steroids after. I would have stopped.
Right.
You know? And also there's a psychological side to it, a psychological addiction perhaps to steroids. It may be more than psychological, maybe it's slightly physical as well. But a lot of people get into this sport because of insecurity, because they don't feel good, and then they want to build up, to feel stronger, to feel more powerful. And, you know, steroids will allow you to take that to the next level, you know? So if your whole importance of self is built up in how big and muscular you are, you're never going to want to stop taking those steroids, because you're going to lose that when you can't, it's not, you know, you can't keep that level of development when you stop taking those hormones. You will come down to a degree. So, and there's going to be a crash. There's going to be a physical crash. There's going to be a mental crash. All those things you need to, you know, before you step on that merry-go-round, you need to think about those things.
Did you stop right away in 97? Did you scale back? I mean, do you think...
You know what I did? Like my normal, typical approach is black and white. So I actually just pretty much stopped, which was not the wisest decision.
Right.
You know, my testosterone levels were very low. I was still married at the time, and we were thinking about to try for another child. And my sperm levels were nearly non-existent.
To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonrealacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media login and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonrealacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there, and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.